this really is our birthday, and especially as we start identifying and merging our consciousness into that of the Guru in a strange way, it also is our birthday. I'm going to be talking this morning more about discipleship. We've talked about Master and his mission and his consciousness. And mostly what I'm going to say is more for people who are serious disciples. So this isn't for everybody. So blame me if it's too much for you, and it's okay. But Master, one time, when Swamiji had this great test of his life, which was when he was thrown out of his Guru's organization, he told a very interesting story. He said that he wrote to Ananda Ma, and he asked her, why is this happening? What's the point of all this? And it was the biggest difficulty he had ever faced, and probably throughout his entire life in the end. And she wrote back, and she said, try to see this as your Guru's grace. And Swamiji said he was just sort of stunned by that advice. He said the last thing that he could see was that this was his Guru's grace. But he said over time, he did see that indeed that was the Guru's grace coming to him to free him of some karma, to push him in a particular direction, to start Ananda. I think for all of us, we are grateful beyond measure that he went through all that so that he could start Ananda. But he really also, I think, was saying that he felt the Guru's blessings, even in that difficult experience. We have a ceremony that we do here with Ananda Sangha. And it was written by Swami Kriyanandaji, and it's called the Purification Ceremony. And the words that the minister says to the Acharya, to the one who is seeking blessings and grace, the Acharya says, the Master says, open your heart to me, and I will enter and take charge of your life. In those words, take charge of your life, he's not talking about just this part of your life or that part of your life or just the good stuff and not the bad stuff. And he's really saying to those who really become serious disciples of any Guru, that the Guru takes complete charge of our lives. Sister Gyanamata, who I think in some ways was the most beautiful, one of the most beautiful examples of discipleship to the Guru. And she was, Yogananda said, she was his most advanced female disciple. And her story is very interesting and almost daunting and scary about the concept of discipleship. For the last 20 years of her life, she went through extraordinary suffering. She almost died 3 times, I think it was, and most of the time she was suffering with a lot of deep physical karma and challenges. And she wrote all these beautiful letters to fellow disciples about what it meant to be a disciple and how she was transcending all these things because of her discipleship. And the strange part to me, and Swamiji emphasized this one time, he said that 3 times in those 20 years, Master said that she was supposed to die. Her karma was such that she was to die. And Master prayed to Divine Mother to keep her alive. And what did he keep her alive for? So that she could suffer yet more intense physical karma and suffering. And that is a little bit scary to think about if that's what discipleship is. But Swamiji pointed out, in the end, Master said that this was how she got her final and complete liberation. That it was the only way she could do this, was to be alive all that time. And it's just strange because the Guru didn't, not only did he keep her alive, but he didn't prevent this karma from coming to her. And he understood that she was wanting final liberation, and she was not going to accept or want anything short of that, and he gave that to her. But it wasn't easy. And so the Guru sometimes comes to us through extreme challenges and tests, also through beauty and grace, and this beautiful satsang we're having, and the beautiful song we heard this morning. My wife Maria and I, we had essentially 2 mantras in our life that we repeated over and over again in many, many different circumstances and conditions, and both of them related to our discipleship, to Yoganandaji and through Swami Kriyanandaji. One of them was this attitude that Swamiji expressed, that Divine Mother or Ananda Ma guided him towards. And this was that whenever anything very good or even, quote, very bad seemingly came into our lives, we would simply say to each other, Guru's grace, Guru's grace. And we really try to live our lives as seeing everything coming from the Guru, even the deepest tests. Ananda Ma explained this one time. Because someone asked her, well, how is it that two different devotees or disciples of the same guru or teacher, both of them are treated very differently, and they have very different tests and karma? And Ananda Ma explained it this way. She said that just like a mother teaching two of her children to walk, one of them needs a consoling pat on the back and holding the hand and words of encouragement and love. And the other one, maybe who's more of a rough and tumble type, needs a shove in the back and just gets launched off and figuring it out on its own. And so this is one reason why it's very unhelpful to compare ourselves to others in the way that we're treated, and to accept that when you really give your life to the Guru wholeheartedly, everything that comes is Guru's grace. And I'll touch on this a little bit more. But I'll say the other mantra that Maria and I lived by, which was often at the end of a long trip, serving the Guru, going off, spending time in airports and coming home really late at night and exhausted after many days on the road, we would come into our Guru's ashram in Ananda village, and the words would always be grateful service. It was just those two words, and we knew that what we meant was our lives were that of rendering grateful service to the Guru, and that was our complete, free, loving giving to the Guru in gratitude and joy, and also in deep freedom. Now this other one of the Guru's grace, even when my wife got cancer, and which she fought this battle for 10 years, she had breast cancer, which eventually went to the brain. Even that, when it came, and when it came back 2 times, the words were the same, Guru's grace. And how can you even imagine something like that coming from the Guru? But in fact, we both knew, I think, and she realized in the end, that the only way she could become free was to go through this challenge. And it doesn't mean that we accept passively what comes to us. She fought that battle for 10 years. But when the time came, and I have a feeling the Guru spoke to her in the last year and told her that her homecoming was approaching, because she said some things that indicated that her time was coming. And indeed it did. It suddenly went to her brain, and within just 3 weeks from that, she was free. But just like all of us, she had extraordinary karmic tests and challenges. She had extreme fears about leaving the body, and also fighting cancer even. It was a real fear that was really present very often. But at the end, there was just complete freedom. It was a karma that she had truly transcended. And what happens is that when we see and accept everything that's coming from the Guru, then the Guru's grace completely fills our lives, because we completely open our hearts to receiving the Guru's grace in every little nook and cranny, in every corner of our consciousness. And so this is why at the end she could say to me repeatedly, "Don't worry, I'm free." And she was consoling me and assuring me, because I knew that she had some real karmic tests and challenges that she hadn't yet overcome to that point. But in the end she did, because she was open to the Guru's grace. Now this idea of seeing everything that coming from God and the Guru, there's another beautiful way of expressing this. It's the Indian saint Ram Dass, the 20th century one, the one I told the story about the other day. He's written some beautiful books about his time as a wandering sadhu. And it's beautiful to see how he expresses himself, because he saw everything that came to him coming from his Guru and Lord, which was Ram. And so he would describe going with his begging bowl as the wandering sadhu, and the woman who gave him food was Ram feeding his devotee, and he would be given a place to sleep, and he would say Ram gave his devotee a place to sleep. But he would also look at the other side, and he would say, and Ram's devotee was in the train station, and the station master came in the form of Ram and started beating his devotee with a lati. And he would say all of his belongings were literally 3 things: a shawl, his glasses, and his begging bowl. And one passage in his book, he says, and Ram came over the night and took back all of his belongings, his begging bowl, his glasses, and his shawl. And these were extremely crucial belongings to him. One kept him warm, the other one fed him, and the other one allowed him to see. And this is, I bring this up in the context because we had this discussion earlier this week about the Guru and Divine Mother giving us parking places. And I told this story one time about the Ram Dass at Ananda village, at a satsang there. And I added that over all these many years that I've been with Ananda Sangha, many, many times I've heard people say that they were in town and they were running late and the Guru gave me a parking place and Divine Mother gave me a parking place. And I've heard that almost countless times. And I commented that, following this story of Ram Dass, I said, I've never ever heard anybody say that they went back to their car and the Guru or Divine Mother gave them a parking ticket. And I was so delighted because about 3 days later, I had a voicemail on my phone at my work at Ananda Sangha. And I believe it was Dambara, who is one of our members in Ananda Palo Alto. And I think he was at that talk that I gave. And his voice was just full of excitement that he could not contain. And I think he was overdoing it a little bit for my sake. But he was so excited to share this incredible news. He said, Devarshi, today I got back to my car and Divine Mother gave me a parking ticket. And I was just so excited. But, I was sincerely excited too, because it helped him and me to start seeing that, yes, everything that comes to us comes from God, comes from the Guru. And when we accept it in that way, again, we open our hearts to receiving an extraordinary outpouring of the grace of God and the Guru that is trying to come to us. Now, sometimes our lives seem like it's a lot more parking tickets than parking places. And during those times, try to understand that it's the Guru's love also at that time. Imagine how difficult it is for a parent to teach a child a lesson and have to teach a very hard lesson and watch the child suffer as it's learning the lesson. And it takes extraordinary love and compassion to be able to do that. And so, again, when those difficult times come, and for those of you who are completely open to seeing everything that's coming from the Guru, try to see those as not only the Guru's grace, but try to feel the extraordinary love and compassion behind what the Guru is giving us. There's an expression of people going through life and seeing everything through rose-colored glasses. And the glasses are rose-colored, and so everything I see is colored rose, and it's more about a mental attitude. I've heard this put another way, where people talk about if you have shoes with leather soles, then everywhere you walk, you'll be walking on leather. And it's really about how our outlook on life is colored by very basic things. And one of these is something I mentioned yesterday or the day before, which is this advice of Swami Kriyanandaji to really tune into the Guru's consciousness every moment if we can. And he gave this practice of mentally chanting Om Guru throughout the day. And you'll find that if you do that, or something similar, some way to draw the Guru's consciousness into every moment of your life, you, in a way, will be going through life with Om Guru colored glasses, in a sense, because everything you see will be colored by your love for the Guru, and everything you receive will come through the Guru. And so this is just one way to work with discipleship. You will find that if you can go through life living very deeply these practices and following the example of Swami Kriyanandaji, because his example was very hard to look at sometimes, because his life had enough tests and challenges that it would make you shake in your boots, to use an expression. Yet he continued with absolute unconditional love for the Guru, receptivity to the Guru's grace, and in the end, it is what helped him to become free. The Master said to Swamiji that at the end of this lifetime, he would find salvation. And he found it, again, as he often said, through Guru Seva, Guru Bhakti, Guru devotion. And so this, in a way, is how all of us can, at the end of our life, sort of our homecoming speech can be as the beautiful chant that Shurjo played this morning, which the words are, when I die, Lord Guruji, look into my eyes. They will mutely say, I have been thine always, I will be thine always. And so now, while we're living, is actually the time to start writing that homecoming speech of ours, our final words, because it's not something that you suddenly live a worldly life and all of a sudden at the last second, oops, I better remember to say that. In fact, you do it by living it by breathing it, by wearing Om Guru colored glasses, by Guru Bhakti, Guru Seva. And in the end, you will find that, like many others we've seen, not just Swamiji, but many other Ananda people that we've seen go through life and offer their life back to God and Guru at the end, you'll find that the Guru can free you from most extraordinary tests and challenges that you thought were not possible for you to overcome. And this is the power of the Guru, this is the power of the Guru's grace, and our giving our lives to him in every way that we can. Om Shanti Shanti.
Devarshi, thank you for this amazingly inspiring talk. One of the last of so many that have preceded it. And I think I'll always remember those two mantras that you and Maria have made central to your life. Guru's grace and grateful service. And what else do we need in our lives? Just to remember these two things. While you were talking, in addition to these inspiring mantras, I also remembered a joke I'd like to share with you. It's kind of not a joke, it's an anecdote. It's about a guru who had a disciple who was always complaining. Constantly. I mean, she would complain about absolutely everything. She'd complain about the food in the ashram, she'd complain about her mother-in-law, she'd complain about the traffic. She was always complaining and always putting the blame on other people, looking for somebody to find fault. And one day the Guru said to her, "My dear, why do you insist that the whole world be covered with carpet when you could simply put on a pair of slippers?" It takes a little while to get that. Okay? Why do we insist that everything be to our liking, or that people change, or that the world change, when we can just put on a pair of slippers? Well, today, those slippers are the Guru's grace and the Guru's protection. And that is what will help us get through and overcome all delusion. I'd like to now take the opportunity to go over the vow that many of us, most of us, have taken. It's the Discipleship Vow, and it's a vow that Swami Kriyananda wrote, and I'd like to take a good look at it, because it has, we've said it, we've probably said it many times, but sometimes the things that are closest to us, we lack appreciation for its depth. So let's take a look at this vow, and then those of you who are disciples, we're going to refresh and renew our vow of discipleship to Master on this his birthday. This vow begins by invoking all of our masters, and then it starts out by saying, "Divine Mother, I come before thee." Now this is a vow of discipleship between us and Yogananda and the masters. And yet this entire vow is a prayer to the Divine Mother. So what is the message that Swami is giving us? Yogananda so often said, God is the Guru, Divine Mother is the Guru. When, okay, something fell. You can keep that. Keep it on. Thank you. Once, one of the disciples, I think it was Norman, said to Master, "Oh Master, whenever I see you, I only see the Divine Mother," which is really the right and beautiful thought. And then Master's rejoinder, "Fine, then behave accordingly." Sri Yukteswarji said, we must learn to behave. And our highest behavior, Swamiji is telling us, is to have the direct link with God. Seeing God as we wish, as Father, Mother, Beloved, or as friend. And to understand that the Guru is their channel, not in himself. So many people get attached to the Guru. To the Guru's presence, of course, to his teachings, but also to things that are more superficial. What he eats, what he likes, what he doesn't like, the way he talks, his accent. We don't want to be attached to the Guru in any superficial way. We want our attachment to be to the Divine Mother through the Guru. And this is how Yogananda saw himself, only as a window through which we can see and come to the Divine Mother. So it begins Divine Mother, and then the devotee is talking to Divine Mother and telling a little bit about his history. And the devotee says, I come before thee today, having long sought thy eternal light, long pondered the eternal truths, long followed the winding path that leads to thee. I have placed emphasis on the long, because we all come to a moment in our lives when we realize how long it has been, how many incarnations we've been going at it and not necessarily getting anywhere. Yogananda said at a certain point in our evolution, what we experience is the anguishing monotony of life. Here I am again. Here is that test again. Here is that bad habit again. Here it is, the beginning of yet another year, and here I am, still in delusion. Many people celebrate their birthdays. I don't celebrate my birthday because I have the thought, another year has passed, and I'm not realized yet. So I like to be just alone and meditate and try to make the next year a better year. I have long wandered the winding path that leads to thee. When we don't have a guru, Master said life is our guru. And it teaches us many things, and it brings us teachers, it brings us books, it brings us inspiration, it brings us many things, but it's a tortuous, winding path. And at a certain point, we're just tired of it. We're tired of the anguishing monotony. We're tired of wandering around in the desert of our desires and the desert of delusion. And we realize that we need something else. We need a greater power than our own. And so the devotee goes on by saying, I have walked with my own strength, all too seldom with thine. I have walked with the thought, I want this from life, these answers, that guidance, this pathway, or that. I have walked with my own strength. We need to do that. We can't come to a guru as a weakling. Surrender doesn't mean I give up. My back is against the wall. I can't handle it anymore. Life is too much for me. So I'm going to run and hide under your coattails. That's not the attitude with which we need to come to the Guru. We need to come to that moment in our lives and this moment in our lives where we know that we have developed as much as possible our God-given strength. We are made in the image of God. And a big part of our evolution is overcoming dependence. Dependence on other people, dependence on their opinions, dependence on the family, dependence on society, dependence on someone to give me a job. We need to go beyond dependence and begin walking independently. Somebody asked Swami Kriyananda once when he was teaching Ananda Yoga. I came to him during that time, and one of the students asked, Swami, what do you consider to be the best posture, the most important posture? And he answered, the most important posture is standing on your own 2 feet. How true that is. And we need to do that. So long we have sought the eternal truths, and long we have walked with our own strength. And we have seen how far it has gotten us. And it has gotten us far. It has gotten us a sense of self-worth, a sense of dignity, a sense of our own independence, a sense of our own power. And that is what we bring to the Guru. These are the gifts, the flowers and the fruits that we're bringing, that we have walked long, and we have developed our strength, and we have become independent. And now comes the moment of transformation, when we recognize that we have gone as far as we can. And it's the moment to add a higher power. We have wanted things from life. I want this from life. I want that guidance. I want these answers. You know, often people come to a sage, to a sadhu, to a baba, to the guru, and they want advice. But they also know what the answer is that they want. And they come with that in mind. We have seen people at Ananda who go to different ones of the acharyas and ask for advice. And they keep going. We call it acharya shopping. Until they find the one who's going to give them the answer they want. Ah, yes. And then they will follow that advice. But we need to come to the Guru completely open for the guidance, not with a thought in mind. I saw, and I know Narayani, in the years that she spent very close with Swamiji as his personal assistant, we have seen people come to Swami asking for advice. When they would come with their mind already made up, for example, Swami, I'm totally in love with so-and-so and would like to get married. What do you think? Well, I mean, at that point, what can he say? Or, Swami, I think that I should, move to this or that colony. What's your opinion? Well, when Swami could see that a person's mind was made up, he, as God does and Guru does, respects the free will of every individual and knows that we must learn by making decisions and receiving and watching the results of those decisions. So he's not going to interfere, and the Guru is not going to do that either, because he totally respects our free will. I remember once when Swami mentioned, I don't remember the situation, that he was expressing deep sorrow for the pathway that one of the disciples was going on, the decisions that this person was making in his life. And I said to him, Swamiji, can't you stop him? Can't you help him? And Swami, with infinite sadness, I think tears in his eyes, said, I could, but he has not asked. And so he wouldn't give that advice. So we come to that moment in our life where we ask open, totally open, without all of those preconceived notions. I'll tell you a very personal experience that I had. I don't often talk about it, but sometimes. I had been living in Ananda since the very beginning, since 1969. And in the beginning, Swamiji had asked me if I would work and help in his book publishing business. And I said to him, no, I don't think so. I need to do something different. I think I'd like to learn organic gardening. And he said, fine. And so I did, and we had a very wise organic gardener. He was our guru. His name was Hanno Cassidy. And I apprenticed myself to Hanno. And for the next 8 years, I worked with him in the gardens. And I loved it. I mean, every day was beautiful. The sun would be shining, and I'd get up early and meditate and go to the garden and work 12 hours and be with the plants. And, you know, plants, they don't argue, they don't complain. You know, it was really an idyllic life. And in these 8 years, I watched how my co-disciples would receive from Swami advice to change their work. In those years, Swami would move people around quite a bit. He'd say, well, you know, work here for a while, and then after the person had learned whatever they needed to, he would give another job and then another job. And the average in a job at Ananda in the early years was 2 years. So here I was 8 years in the same job, and still loving it, just, you know, happy as can be. And one day I got the thought, maybe I'm not growing as much as I could be if I had another job. So I'll go to Swami, just like all of these other people, and ask him if there's something else I should be doing. And then I did a little introspection, and I realized that if I went to Swami in the condition that I was, and he gave me advice that I didn't like, I wouldn't take it. Just like I didn't take it at the beginning. And so I said, I'm not ready. I can't go. Why should I waste his time? And so in my meditation, I would play through different scenarios. I would go to Swami, and Swami would say to me, do this. And I would say, no, not that. And then I would just meditate and get to the place where I would say, if this is what you suggest, it comes from God, and I will be happy to do that. So I went through a few scenarios of different jobs in the community, and I got over it, you know, each time. And I'm talking about weeks and months of meditation. So then I thought to myself, okay, I've made some progress. Now, what if I go to Swami and he says to me, I'm sending you to Australia to help start a community there. No. We heard Swami, you know, in this mood that he got into when he thought that Master wanted to send him to India, which he wanted to do, but then he would be far away. Australia. And it's like, yeah. No, I'm not going to say that. The Russians are here. Okay. Australia. You know, it was the furthest, it was so far away, you know, it's a whole half a world away. And I said, no, don't send me away. Please, don't send me away. And so then I'd just, you know, get calm and do more meditation. Okay, if this is what's good for me, I'll do that. Okay. Then I thought, okay, I'm ready to go and talk to him. But then my mind said, no, there's one more scenario we need to go through. And this scenario was I'd go to Swami, and he would say to me, Shivani, you don't belong here. Get out. You know, the famous Ram Dass. Get out. Walk away. This is not your place. Leave. Don't turn back. You know, don't look at Sodom. It's not Sodom. Don't look at Ananda. Don't tell anybody. Don't get, you know, I mean, I made it really bad. You know, don't get your possessions. Don't get your mala. You know, just leave. And so I would cry and cry. You know, I mean, I spent weeks of tearful meditations. And then I got to the place, okay, if Swami says that I should leave Ananda, it's for my good. It's Master speaking through him, and okay, that's what I'll do. And I would see myself just away. Ananda behind me, the temple, the place in the temple where my seat, where I always meditated, right in front of me. I just left it. Just walked away. Until I could feel good in my heart. This is right. This is what the Guru wants for me. Then I called, made an appointment with Swami. I went down, talked to Swami. I said, Swami, I've been working the garden for all of these years, and it's been wonderful. But if you think that there's something else that I could be doing that would be of service to the work and that would help me grow, please let me know. So he was silent just for a moment, and then he said, Shivani, you're doing such a good thing in the garden. It's such an important work. I think you should stay there. So I was speechless, and I said, oh, thank you, sir, thank you. Happy, bouncing, and back I went, and I worked in the garden, and just loving it more and more. About a month later, the telephone rings, and it's Swami. And he says, Shivani, come down, I'd like to chat with you. So I go down, happy as can be, not suspecting anything. And Swami says to me, Shivani, I was thinking, we need a new manager of our publications business. And I was thinking maybe this would be something you would like to do. And in my mind, I was screaming, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't like to do that. I didn't want to do it 8 years ago. I don't want to do it now. But then I remembered all the work that I had just done. And I opened my mouth and I said, okay. And I wasn't convinced, but okay. And he said, oh, good. Very, very good. And then I said, but I don't have any experience in doing this. He said, oh, that doesn't matter. You'll learn. And I said, well, what should I do? And he very calmly said, sell my books. And I said, well, how? He said, that's for you to figure out. That was all the advice he ever gave me, ever, on that subject. And for the next 4 years, I worked in publications business. I must admit they were not easy 4 years. I don't think I left that business any better than when I came to it, possibly a little worse. But I kept that mantra for me, sell my books. And sometimes it was sell my books. Don't print them, sell them. Sometimes it was sell my books, not other people's books, mine. Sometimes it was sell my books, don't get into gadgets. And anyway, 3 words was enough. So here in the Discipleship Vow, we read, I have long walked with the thought, I want this from life, these answers, that guidance, this pathway or that, but I have seen that as often as I made claims on life, it eluded me. As often as I presumed on thy will, it turned away from me. People go to Swami, they presume, and then he doesn't turn away his love, but he turns away his advice. He's not going to give the guidance. Ah, too long, Mother, have I sought thee for myself, not for thy love. I want you, I want guidance because, I need a new house, because I want to... I know, now here's the realization. This is the attitude that finally the disciple comes to. I know now that without thy strength added to mine, infusing it, I shall never find thee. Thy strength added to mine. I'm not weak. I'm not dependent. I'm strong. But now I'm asking for your strength to be added. And this is the partnership. The 2 stallions pulling together the chariot of life. Thine is the power, the grace, the infinite glory. I am thine, Mother, be thou eternally mine. And now we get to the vows, the promise. We have the history, we have the realization, and now we come to our promise. I offer myself in service and devotion to your cause. So I'm here to serve you. You're not here to serve me. And to the ray of the divine light, as it is represented by your channels. So I'm here to be devoted to and to serve you as Mother, as you express through these. And that's what my life is about, grateful service. Accept me into this family of self-realization. I'm not here alone, as I'm here because I know that I am part of a family of self-realization, and that as a family we move closer to God. Each one of us finds God in our unique way. But when we have a family, when we have masters, and 5 of them, who form a family and have given us a family, then we enter into this family. Accept me into this family of self-realization, and make me also through them an instrument of thy blessings. As I receive, may others be blessed to receive. Discipline me, guide me, purify me. This is our willingness, and this is what we are asking the Guru through Divine Mother to do for us, to discipline us. We don't want to remain as we are right now. We want to be disciplined by the Guru. We want to be guided, and we want to be purified. Teach me to attune myself to thy ray, thy vibration, until at last, through daily meditation, service, and devotion, these are the 3 keys to successful discipleship. Until at last, through, where are we? Until at last, through daily meditation and service and devotion. These are our 3 offerings to the Guru. I will meditate every day, I will serve every day, and every day I will be devoted. Through these I will unite my soul with thy infinite spirit.